tale, no here, Marty is a pretty bizarre character when you actually think about it. He is randomly created by Mario at the end of the episode Mario is Fine, as a way to help cope with his issue of running away from problems he encounters in his life. Yes, creating an OC loosely inspired by himself apparently helps solve his mental health issues. That's the logic in the episode. So Mario and Luigi then discuss creating an OC based on Luigi, which leads to Louis manifesting out of thin air, though this fade-in transition used could just suggest that Mario created him later. Anyway, the final scene of the episode Mario's Fine ends with a really strange and ominous shot of Marty, suggesting that he's alive and will play some sort of antagonistic role. This is obviously very perplexed. This perplexed me at the time, and I remember Viger suggested that the cardboard cutouts would come to life, thinking they are the real Mario and Luigi, because what were you supposed to make of that ending? But meanwhile, at the time, I pointed out how Marty and Louis were obviously original non-copyright versions of Mario and Luigi, and so I correctly predicted that Mario and Luigi would not get redesigned and replaced by Marty and Louis, but I have to assume the reason they were created was that so if SMG4 ever did get DMCA'd by Nintendo, the SMG4 team would have redesigns for Mario and Luigi ready to go, and that the audience would have already have some familiarity with. Assuming that's the reason the Marty and Louis were created, and I feel like that's the only way their existence sort of makes any sense, as if not they are very random inclusions into the series, then the obvious question that is raised is as to why these characters have been used in the way that they have been used thus far. And as a side note, that plot point about Mario's pizza shop, back in 2023, seems to have just been thrown in there to explain why Marty is a pizza chef and to give him a setting within the showgrounds to occupy. I take the fact that they haven't done anything with Mario's pizza shop since WOTFI 2023 as proof of this fact. Anyways, Marty gets featured in 2 more episodes, where he, funnily enough, gets a genuine character moment where he feels underappreciated and undercompensated for his work in Mario's pizza shop, which obviously helped fund the new castle. So this sort of character arc or something is resolved when SMG4 offers to compensate Marty by paying him and giving him half ownership of the new castle, which is, by the way, a plot detail that is never brought up again. Another thing that never gets brought up again from the You Made Mario Do This episode is Louis. I'm pretty certain he never reappears ever again. The guy was seemingly just created to give SMG4 the answers as to why Marty is upset at Mario and the crew in that one episode. That's the only thing he does of any plot significance in the entire series. So at this point in the story, after the You Made Mario Do This episode, I was sort of unsure what the purpose of introducing Marty's character was, as it seemed there was no longer any possible direction to take the character in, and for a while he seemed to just make cameos every so often, up until the trailer for WOTFI 2023, where he was revealed to be the main antagonist. It's possible that his big role in WOTFI 2023 was the main purpose for introducing his character into the series, as maybe they felt it sort of justified the name of War of the Fat Italians, since Marty is a fat Italian just like Mario, whereas SMG4 and 3 were no longer Italian after their redesigns in 2022. But since Louis is nowhere to be found in WOTFI 2023, and making the OC version of Mario a cardboard cutout instead of an actual character, that all makes me think that the copyright argument I made earlier as to why Marty exists is still the correct explanation for his existence. But I imagine making Marty the antagonist of WOTFI 2023 was always the plan when they created his character, as just creating him with that small character arc thing I mentioned earlier, that seems a bit unlikely that they made him and that was the only thing they'd planned to do with his character when they made him. Moving on. Earlier in 2023, Marty was never portrayed as villainous, and his reason for blocking like the construction of the new castle, for example, was like completely justified. Yeah, in WOTFI 2023, despite making amends with the SMG4 crew after he felt undercompensated for his work, he happily steals SMG3's notebook out of greed, desiring the secret pizza recipe inside of it, despite the fact that somehow before the events of WOTFI 2023, Marty had became like a mega rich casino tycoon out of nowhere. It's like inconsistent characterization. Shake my head. As I stated earlier, I believe the copyright explanation to be the reason why Marty was created, and having him be the antagonist for WOTFI will have definitely established himself among the SMG4 canon and fans' minds for a long time to come. Yet if he is intended to be the design they'd use for a hypothetical original Mario design if the worst case scenario happened, why did they barely ever use him again following WOTFI 2023? Like, for a long time after WOTFI 2023, Marty just disappeared from the series, and for Louis this is way worse, as he was just completely forgotten about, even still so to this day. Personally, I thought it would have made sense to bring Marty and Louis to life in WOTFI 2023, giving them an actual models and turning them into actual characters. This would have given extra security to SMG4 in my opinion, as they'd have original Mario and Luigi models ready for use straight away if they did get DMCA'd, and people would already be familiar with those models, so that would have made more sense in my opinion. And, honestly, my only real big gripe with WOTFI 2023 is the fact that the ending felt perhaps just a tad bit underwhelming, and could have used with something more epic happening near the end, and I feel bringing Marty to life could have been a way to solve that. But that's a small, nitpick, really. But ignoring these strange writing decisions, Marty would eventually return in the form of a cameo in the 2024 plane trip episode. Keeping in theme of Marty being mega rich, it turns out he now owns an airline. This cameo was nice, but eventually they would release the banger episode titled We Must Kill Mario. The episode did something really awesome with Marty in particular. The episode actually bothered to answer the year-old plot hole left over from WOTFI 2023 of how Mario escaped prison and where Marty had been all this time. It turned out that Mario had left Marty behind in prison after chasing after some spaghetti, which infuriated Marty, leading to him plotting to take revenge against Mario after he eventually escaped prison by himself, which explained his long absence from the series. Mario, SMG4 and Karen foil Marty's evil plot to poison Karen's kids and assumedly the entire kingdom with poisoned spaghetti, leading to him fleeing, and he now sort of occupies a place in the series as like a minor antagonist who causes problems for the main cast every so often, sort of similar to classic SMG3, though so far he's only returned in one episode where this is sort of the case where he's a minor antagonist. So we don't know for sure if this is like the permanent plan for his character. Only got one appearance after that episode to go off right now. Also, after WOTFI 2023, he's now characterized as sort of a crime boss character who's also just outright villainous. So I guess he's been on a villain arc ever since he was created, where he has been gradually becoming more and more evil, going from stealing a notebook to trying to commit mass murder. I kind of love this bizarre journey this stupid character has been on, created for a really dumb reason in the original episode. This indestructible and sentient cardboard cutout inspired by Mario has gone on to have a heartwarming character moment, followed by being a main antagonist for WOTFI, before becoming, and I quote, an international terrorist who now just reappears every so often as a minor antagonist who causes trouble for the main cast, similar to classic SMG3. I will never regret buying this stupid keychain of him. So, will Marty permanently just be this mega rich crime boss cardboard who just causes trouble for the cast in some regular standalone episodes? Or will he be used for something more significant, such as playing a role in a story arc as an antagonist again? Well, firstly, I highly doubt Marty will ever be a main antagonist of a story arc again, especially if it's an arc with a more serious story. I mean, there is a limit to what stories you can tell with a literal piece of cardboard, even if he has gained the ability to speak recently. The only way that could address that potential issue, of him being an inanimate object, is to bring him to life. But if they had ever planned to bring him to life, they almost certainly would have done so by now. However, he could definitely work well as more of a minor antagonist in a story arc, with a new antagonist serving as the main big bad. They have recently been hinting towards a Karen arc, and Marty was involved as an antagonist in the episode that sort of set up a lot of the important details we know about Karen. So Marty could definitely be naturally included into this upcoming Karen arc if they decide to include him. Marty is currently motivated by wanting to get revenge, so he'd have the motivation to want to side against Karen, who had just foiled his most recent plot for revenge. And his crime boss nature would fit well in a story that is likely to be very connected to the criminal underworld, as Karen's old job was as an assassin, and the shady corporation she used to work for will probably be an important part of this upcoming arc based on its reappearance in the most recent episode. However, if Marty were to be heavily featured in this upcoming Karen arc, I think it's likely that he may have a redemption arc where he learns to let go of revenge. Despite how strange it sounds to give a character arc to a cardboard cutout, they have sort of done it before, as I previously highlighted. Plus he can talk now, as mentioned earlier. I say all of this as the copyright theory I proposed suggests that Marty was introduced into the series to familiarise people with his design, so that he could replace Mario if the worst came. Yet, right now a lot of people would associate Marty with being an antagonist, which would make it jarring if he suddenly became a protagonist, if they had to reboot as a wholly original series. So it would make sense from a business standpoint to redeem Marty and make him a good guy again. So in conclusion, one of my favourite characters is a piece of cardboard, because I think this long-running meme is quite amusing actually, and also please use Louis again. I feel really bad for the guy.